What's going on, guys? Celtic CC here. This Castle Clash 5th anniversary event we've had, where we've been rewarded with the cupcakes and donuts, this system that's in place, I've got to be said, it's been a great games mechanic that IGG have brought in. It's not only, a way to reward active players for being more active and giving stuff to us, which, normally you would probably have to pay for, so obviously that's been great to free-to-play players. That's not the most important thing about this. What's the most important thing about this game mechanic they brought in is it's added more fun to the game. And I just think it's a great game mechanic that IGG has stumbled across, and it'll be a real shame for it to, be a temporary thing. And I think absolutely IGG need to do something about, implementing a permanent game mechanic for this. Just the mundane things such as sweeping dungeons, for example. Normally we don't really you might notice whether you get the shards or not. But this sweeping the dungeon now and getting extra things added, and there you go. There's a donut, there's a couple of cupcakes, for example. Just sweeping dungeons has been made more fun. Getting rewarded for extra lava and doing arena and getting these cupcakes and the donuts from them. It's just added extra fun to the game, and I just think that's an invaluable game mechanic that really needs to be implemented as a permanent thing into the game. And it's going to be a shame if this is just a temporary thing. We never see anything like this again. So I just wanted to put a video out, stating my claim to, my case to IGG that they need to bring this in as a permanent game mechanic. But there's certain things I would personally, like to see tweaked. First of all, I don't think it's perfect. The first most important thing is the fact that it's two things added, a donut and a cupcake. Maybe they could change that from the donut and cupcake system and bring in some sort of token system. That's because of warehouse space. If this was going to be a permanent system, you don't want two things taking up two slots in your warehouse. When it's not really necessary. So they could just bring in a token system, so that the same kind of thing. When you sweep your dungeons, and do your arena and lava, etc., you get given a token instead. And then a bit like we get with Fountain Fortuna, it comes up every couple of weeks or something. Again, they could bring a blimp or whatever's brought in, and the shop opens up, and then you can exchange your tokens for gifts. The same kind of system as this, but obviously they can add variety. Maybe the gala gift side of things, these gala gift boxes, it gives a lot of gems, so maybe that might put them off, but they don't need to do that. They could bring in something else, they don't necessarily have to give away skins all the time. They could just give us stuff to exchange, the trade fame boxes, Blessed Tome 2s, and look at the skins for the Cupid. There's a lot of people don't have the Cupid skins. They could put the Cupid skins in there, or Mastery Slimes, Karmic Rocks, speakers, and there's also talent cards, things like that, blue crystals, gold keys, whatever. There's loads of different ways they could do it, and I just think this has been a total success that everyone's really enjoyed, and I just think it's added a really important element of fun to the game that needs to, it needs to become a permanent thing, definitely, and it needs to be a system in place whereby even when the blimp's not available and you can't exchange stuff, you can still accumulate your tokens in between, so you're always accumulating tokens, and then you can decide how you want to spend those tokens. I just think that would be a really great game mechanic brought into the game, and it just would improve Castle Clash no end. I really hope this gets implemented, and the more noise is made about it. I'm sure everyone else who's watching this would agree with me. The more noise that's made about it, the more chance of this happening. IGG have discovered a really, really good thing for the game, and it's improved it no end. And it's a shame if it just ends up being a temporary thing. The other tweaks I would bring to it is add some extra game modes that you can accumulate things, such as hero trials, perhaps maybe in expeditions. If you get a 3 flame, you automatically get one, or a chance of getting one. things like that. There's also the idea of putting it in for gem rolling as well. I mean, it definitely add an extra incentive for maybe the higher might players who struggle to do their sweeps and wouldn't be able to accumulate these tokens as much. If they get given the tokens when they roll gems, there's an extra incentive to roll gems. So I mean, that's definitely a winning mechanic for IGG. Something that in this gives extra incentive to people to roll gems. Absolutely. I don't see why they wouldn't go for that. Speaking of which, let's do my 150. So it's just like, I really hope this gets implemented into the game somehow. It'd be a real shame if we never see something like this brought back, and I really think it needs to be put into the game permanently. IGG are onto a winner with this. This has been a total success, which everyone has been happy about. I don't know anyone who's had anything negative to say about this. They all thought it was great, But there's also the other element of seeing as this might be temporary. We've all been doing extra, trying to make sure we get everything. So something in place where you don't have to have that added stress of a finite timeline to do all your sweeps and use up all your cards and everything like that. Just so it's a permanent token system brought in where you can accumulate just from sweeping all the time, and you're always getting stuff, and then you can choose how to spend it. A system like that in place, I just think would be a really good thing for the game, and I hope IGG realise that and implement something. Okay then guys, I'm going to crack on with the rest of my quest board. Cheers then.